It was actually a smaller venue with Earth, Wind & Fire. I love playing this place, and you just fall into it. And we got into something one day at that theater, and it was just, man, this is so good. And then I started thinking about it.
Oh no! Oh no!
I did. I did.
Ooh.
And then okay, come back. Yeah,
Air out of the balloon.
Yeah, oh man.
Welcome back to Caffeine TV, EnterTalk, the Drummer's High. We're with John Parrish, who's a SABIAN player, which is great to have.
Sir.
Thank you very much. And also well known for playing with Earth, Wind & Fire. And I asked the same question of Roger when he was in here. You're known for that. Have you played with other bands?
Yeah, I had a pretty good. Well, I was lucky, to tell you the truth. I got to play with a lot. But I would say when I first started traveling, I went out with Jesse Johnson. I had a lot of affiliation with the Minneapolis crew.
Yep.
And then from there, I toured with a gang of singers, and one of my favorites was Patti LaBelle.
Oh yeah.
And I played with her for years. And that, man, what an experience that was. And just little odd gigs here and there. One of my favorite singers, which led to the Earth, Wind & Fire gig, was Eric Benet. I was playing with him for a while, and a lot of great drummers came through there, so I got lucky again. And we were playing what's the festival in New Orleans? I can't even think of it.
New Orleans Jazz and Heritage
Yeah,
Festival.
and the guys were there. Earth, Wind & Fire was there, and they secretly auditioned me, which was great because I'm glad I didn't know.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 months later, they called me up. And that's pretty crazy story too, because a friend of mine was the MD, and I was in Phoenix, doing this rock record at a studio that he and I would record out all the time. And he found me, and he's a practical joker. So that made it worse. So when he was telling me, yeah, man, we need a drummer to come out here like next week. And I hung up. Cause I'm like, man, I'm working, I'm doing a gig where he calls back and he goes, man, I'm serious. We need you to come out here. I was like, look, man, I'll call you. But I hung up twice, Andy, I promise you. The third time, now he's hot because, this thing is going on. They need a drummer. I've known most of those guys half my life. And I hear Philip in the back around. He says, tell him if he can do it, we're going to stop looking. And I'm like, oh, you know that feeling, that your blood runs cold. This is really happening. So they threw me in the pot, man, and 20 years later, unbelievable. I still can't believe I'm loving it. I'm having a great time.
So I actually had some other friends who played with Patti LaBelle.
Yeah.
They were saying that she's really good because she gives you structure, but at the same time, she lets you have some freedom.
Go. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And how was that working with somebody iconic along those lines that gave you that ability to express yourself?
It's the best, man, because you can, how they always say, you practice, and then you throw it all away and just let it happen, like martial arts, just respond. Well, we had a musical director who was also keyed into that, and he was so connected to her. I mean, I've never seen a musical director. His name was Bud Ellison. He left us now, but he was one of the greatest. I mean, he was like on Quincy's level, but he just never got his shot. Yeah. And I mean, would blindly direct these incredible cues, with his back to her, and that was like another show in itself. But you have to totally let go of what you think is hip or what would excite your guy over here and just, let the music come. And most of the shows, just came through us and I don't even remember half of it. Yeah. I just knew that it was like really exciting, intense experience. So that was some of the, that was pretty pinnacle for me playing with her. It was just, because like you say, she would let it happen.
Oh, yeah.
We'd rehearse for months, do the intro, throw the set list out. So it kept the band like you know, yeah, it was like that every show.
So you were on your toes every night.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, that's
you
smart,
slept
actually.
well after
Yeah.
those shows. Yeah, it was like, but it was awesome. It was great.
So emotionally, physically, it was very demanding.
Absolutely.
But as you're playing, I mean, you're feeling both of those all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simultaneously. Yeah.
Are you seeing
Absolutely.
one being more powerful than the other in the way that you play?
Occasionally. Yeah, it gets kind of strange. You know, it just depends on what's happening in the air. You know, sometimes you have to, you know, physically exert a little bit more. But at this point, it's more mental for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm kung fuing it all the way through the rest of my life. That's it. Soft and hard. Stay on the treadmill. You know, you want it when you want it there, when you know, you can get it. But for the most part, you know, everybody's, we carry each other pretty well. So it's cool.
So you got that band dynamic and it's all working well.
Yeah.
And the energy's coming together.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you know this part, when all of a sudden you're in a different zone altogether.
Oh, man.
You got any cool experiences when that happened?
Wow. Okay. Well, one of the first couple of gigs, was one with Earth, Wind & Fire. Then there was another with Patty.
Yeah.
And we were playing the Apollo Theater, and that happened. And I was so excited, you know, to play, because I used to go there as a child. You know, my aunt would take me all the time to see all these incredible acts. I mean, I saw James Brown, Jackie Wilson, and, you know, all these, you know, the icons when I was like 7, and it devastated me. So I couldn't wait to get in there. I'm going to play this show at the Apollo Theater, you know. Told all my friends. And then that happened. You know, it's just like, you know, it's perfect, man. And we did 2 shows, but the first one was the one that I was like, oh my God, I wish I could have seen that. If I could have been there, you know, it felt like that.
I wish I was watching myself play.
Yeah, it was incredible. But we had a lot of experiences like that. And then there was a time, it was actually a smaller venue with Earth, Wind & Fire. I love playing this place. I think it's the Moody Theater in Austin. Because this is some of my favorite music, you know, harmonically in the whole 9. I mean, there's just, you know, I'm a voicings guy. I love when stuff is going on, you know, because the earlier jazz experience with my family, they love the influence of that. All these colors are flowing around. But then, you know, I'm a groove freak under here. So when all of that stuff happens at the same time, and you just fall into it. And we got into something one day, you know, one show at that theater, and it was just, man, this is so good. And then I started thinking about it.
Oh no.
I did. I did.
Ooh.
And then, you know, okay, come back. Yeah,
Air out of the balloon.
Yeah, oh, man. And, you know, in a big band like that, you know, that ripple.
Yeah.
And then by the time it gets to the singer, and he's like, it's too late.
What just happened?
Yeah, you want to snatch it back before it gets to him. But yeah, it's so good when that happens. And then the actual compositions are just so much fun to play too.
Oh yeah.
And the coolest thing for me was I got to hear the stems, you know, of what everybody was actually playing.
Yeah.
And I changed the way I approached it.
Oh. How did you change?
Well, when you hear a record, you're hearing everything, and you can kind of, you know, as far as you know, you can slice it up a little bit and listen to this guy all the way through, listen to that, listen to that. But when you're actually listening to Maurice White play a groove by itself, isolation, now you can really get into where he is, you know, in the circumference of that groove, man, and how the inflection of, oh man, it's just like, okay, now I understand why that whole song was speaking like that. And then I started getting into the other aspects of, you know, what everybody else was playing. I'm like, okay, I've been here for 10 years, but I think I got it.
I think 10 years.
I think I finally, and then, well, you know, when the stuff came out, you know, we were kids, you know, we thought we were dissecting it. And sometimes I'll go back to my friends and I'll go, hey man, do you realize what voicing that really is right here? And they'll go, what is it? Play it on the guitar or something. They go, no way. I was like, check it out. Play it with the record. You know, disappear right into the track.
Oh,
You know?
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Man, he had such an amazing feel because he played on a gang of records
Oh yeah.
back, you know, the stack days and all of that. So yeah, that got me, you know, to approach the kit and the music totally different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, drummers approach things differently than everybody else because when we're playing, you got the emotional appeal that you're just talking about, but there's also the physicality. I don't think there's anybody else in the band that has that same ability. I mean, piano players moving their hands and that's good, and bass players and stuff, and they can feel that beat and everything's going. But we got something completely different going on.
Oh yeah.
And I always figured that separates drummers from everybody else. And it does not just on the bandstand. We were talking about this just a minute ago. So different when you're hanging out with drummers, right? And you're talking about stuff and you're having a good time, giving each other the drummer hug and what's been happening. And then you watch somebody who plays some other instrument meet somebody who plays that same instrument, and it's not the same thing.
It's a little chilly, huh?
Yeah.
Just a little. What is that? Let me ask, what do you think? What?
Oh, you're asking me. I'm supposed to ask you that question.
I've been trying to figure it out. I don't understand. It's like, to me, it's all the same. You know, I don't call myself a multi-instrumentalist by any stretch, but my first instrument was guitar, and I love keyboards. I wish I could find middle C. I can't. A little bass because I can cheat because of the guitar. So it's like the same thing to me. We're like all in the same bucket of whatever, you know, and I don't know, man. But if you start to talk about brass, okay, maybe. But the rhythm section is like, come on.
Yeah.
We all got to have the same party, I thought.
I agree.
But
well, tone players and that type of thing, melody players, they have their place. I mean, you need to have them because you got to have the melody. But when you get that base of playing, which is the rhythm section, if you can't have a camaraderie in that, my God, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I mean, we do make fun of bass players, right?
Yeah.
We do, but at the same time, not anymore.
Al McKay said one of the greatest things to me about, you know, the perception of bands, or like Earth, Wind & Fire in particular. It's like, he was teaching me this hi-hat part that I had reversed, you know, playing the wrong side of it. And I'm like, man, I had to flip it around. He's like, that's what people misunderstand about us. We're an ensemble. We're not a band, we're an ensemble. The parts fit together. It's like, then the light came on. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like an orchestra or anything else, we fit together. We all blend in together, like the Fender Rhodes or something just melts it all together, you know. It's not like a piano, which I love, but you know what I'm saying? It's that made so much sense to me. And that even helped me have a little bit more leeway for my guys. Because, you know, you always want your guys to know, you know, that you're working and you're trying to inspire them, but
you got their back.
Yeah, at all times. But then you want to, you know, keep them going. But then there's the song. So what's more important? You know?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have everybody working on the same grain, then it doesn't matter what song it is, does it?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. And I try to apply that to whatever it is I'm doing. When I was a kid, you know, back in the late 70s when the fusion thing was hot, and we were all trying to learn how to play the kit. Boy, Billy was showing us, and Lenny and everybody, we gonna play the drum set now. We have our lane. And I got a shot to play with this. I wish I could remember this guy's name. It was in the Bay Area. It was reggae, you know, and the thing that saved me, I think, was our band, you know, so I was comfortable with the musicians. But now we're playing some Marley tunes.
Oh, okay.
And so at that point, you know, I mean, I'd had the influences from everything that I'd grown up with, but never like any actual playing experience with it. And it's just like anything else. You can't really fake it. It has to be the language.
Yeah.
So we're playing. Oh man, what song was it? Oh, let them fool you. Right. So I'm like, and so I'm playing all these feels past the bar and everything, and he's turning around and looking. He was a big guy too. He was menacing. He had the braids hanging out, and all he wants to do is dance. He wants to, and I'm like, and I'm thinking he's, you know, looking at me because he's happy, you know, because I'm, and he stops, and he turns around, he looks at me. Everybody take a break. Young man, come here. Now I'm a little nervous because he didn't look at me when he said come here. So it's like, you know, when my grandmother did that, that was trouble. I'm getting a switch or something, right? So he says, now, if you can explain to me why you would play this music like that,
Yeah. Yep.
and it makes sense to me, then you can do it again. I could, you know, I was, oh, wow, okay, whoa, I got it, okay, got it. You have to play that thing and feel it like you were playing the brick house right now. Same thing. And when he said that, I got it right away. And it actually really took me a few months, you know, to really get it. But I just, man, I listened to Bob Marley my mother thought I was trying to move to Jamaica. It was on and popping, but I did everything that I thought I knew that way after that point.
Yep.
You know, thus the gumbo, you know, of Earth, Wind and Fire, which is a lot more going on than you think in there. There's some really cool colors. But he taught me that lesson. So, you know, I enjoy being in my lane of that repetition kind of infectious thing. That I love it. You know, I don't really have to, you know, blaze, as they say. Like, you want solo? I'm good. I'm full. I'm already, because it's a part of, you know, the whole song music thing that I really love more than, you know, you know, and this shoulder's starting to get sore anyway. So it's too late.
You know, that's an excellent story. And that you went from, you could play the technical parts and you were doing all the fusion stuff that you wanted to do in reggae.
Right?
Just, no. Simmer down, man.
Yes. Yeah.
Let it flow through you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That, man, and it was so much more fun to actually play reggae, you know, then I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I was putting on top of that stuff, man. It was like, he pretty much dialed me in, you know, and I was young enough to be able to take it in. You know?
And he was nice enough to do it nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't say, kid, you're fired, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I kept the gig. And I pretty much blew it the next night, but, you know.
For the same reason?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It wasn't as bad, though. I cut it in half.
Well, you did say it took me a few months.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
To really get it. You know, it's like swing. You can't fake it. You can tell when somebody's back there messing around. All right, Mr. Ting, 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 come on. You know, when you know, they do that. And then I figured it out. You know, I mean, I wanted to feel it. You know, I wanted it to feel like that. I didn't want it to sound like, oh, that's Mr. R&B guy playing reggae, or the Mr. Rock guy. I didn't want, you know, I don't want him to even know who it is. I want it to be just as authentic as it could be.
So where did you grow up? You said you went to the Apollo a lot.
Oh, New Jersey. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey. I was bouncing back and forth between Freehold and Trenton, New Jersey, and we would take the trip up, you know, to New York, you know, in the summer, and man.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, that I mean, can you imagine, you know, seeing James Brown in 1968,
Well, no,
67? I know. That's why I said. That's why I asked. You know, like,
could I imagine? Yeah, actually.
Man, it was just, you know, man, I could still feel that running around in my spirit. But everybody that I saw back then, they had a, you know, a specific purpose when they hit that stage, and they knew exactly what they were about. Everybody had their own sound. They knew, you know, how to get it. It was consistent. It was, I mean, because they didn't have a lot of production, and you had a spotlight and luckily a good sound guy so everybody could hear, and the rest was on you.
And it's pretty obvious you had a good rhythm section, because you in the audience, you felt that right away.
Man, it was so intense. And then I was like, I was wondering why everybody kept standing up out of their seats. You know, it was like, he's dancing. What's he doing? So he throw that mic, and then my aunt would do me like this. And I'm like, whoa, his feet are on swivels. What is that? How do you do that? Yeah, but that was, you know, the whole horn band thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started understanding, you know, all the music that my mother was playing, because, you know, it was two different things going on. My parents like all the big band jazz swing, so that's where I got to hear Buddy. And
Was that your dad?
yeah, my mother and both of them, they were like jazz freaks, you know, Arthur Precinct and Sarah Vaughan and all those. And within, and you know, the bands were like incredible. That's why I first heard Buddy, and he was always, you know, on television every night. Then I'd go over to my grandmother's, and there was the R&B stuff. But my uncle,
Your grandmother was the R&B, and your folks were the big band.
yeah, isn't that
Wow,
weird?
yeah,
It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
But all her kids, they were all doing different stuff. You know,
Yep.
my uncle was the one that really, you know, taught me, really showed me, because his kid was down there, you know,
Yeah.
in the basement. He's a jazz head too. You know,
Okay.
he loved Miles. That's why I heard, you know, all that stuff, and you know, the Miles stuff, and who else? It was Lee Morgan. He loved him. And but his younger brother loved Zeppelin and the Beatles.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, yep.
it was going on, and our house was like
Boy,
crazy.
an eclectic record
Yo,
player.
you
Huh?
should see it. You know, when she passed, I went back and went through the record collection.
Yeah.
Ooh. So Help was on there, on top of the Beatles, and underneath there was a Zeppelin album. Then there was a Sam Cooke record under there. Then there's Ella Fitzgerald. Then Carpenters, and I'm like,
Carpenters.
I got it. That's what's wrong with me. That's why I got all this stuff going on in my head. So, incidentally, having all of those crazy, all of that going on in my head, I moved to the Bay Area in '72.
Okay.
And when I settled down, my uncle got me straight, because I was a knucklehead. When I settled down and started listening to him, he went to the record player.
Okay.
Everybody knows what that is. He drops the needle. And what I heard that put it together for me, when I knew for sure that I was going to be a drummer, I'm like, what is that? Knock Yourself Out.
Wow.
Tower of Power.
Yeah. Oh, really?
David Garibaldi. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because
Wow.
it sounded like everything I'd ever heard all in one band. The big band arrangement, the funky guitars, and kind of a James Brown thing going on in there. And the singer was screaming and yelling, oh, man, that's it. I want in. Who's that? The very first album they did. So I told him that when I got to meet him. At first, he was looking at me like, he was like, no, that's a true story. When I heard that record, I knew for sure that I'm buying in.
Had you been playing drums at all before
Little
that?
bit. I was
Did
messing
you play
around.
other instruments too?
I was just guitar was actually my first instrument, because my aunt had a guitar.
Okay.
And she'd pick the guitar up. She would have an acoustic and electric guitar, and I would sit next to her, mirror her.
Yeah.
So that's why I play left-handed.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm right-handed, but I.
Oh, that's cool.
This is crazy, right?
No, that's cool.
There's certain
To be able
things
to
I
do
can't
that, man, it takes a
It's
lot of brain power.
I'm twisted, man. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's like, but yeah, man, you know, that record, and then I was hooked after that. I'm still to this day, I buy everything they put out. I just love, you know, it put it all together for me. I heard everything, every influence.
Yeah.
There was this little fish market we used to go to, and they were playing all the Afro-Cuban stuff, and I'd just stand there and listen to it. Where's this guy at with the fish? You know, he would send me up. I'm listening to this music.
Yeah.
You know, we'd get the stations from New York. You know, we were close. So yeah, he it's his fault.
It's all him. He was smart enough to know what he was doing, right? I like him already.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he's done us all a service.
Oh, come on.
Seriously, come on now.
Man, I don't know. Yeah. I think about his record collection was crazy too.
Yeah.
It was pretty nuts over there. But yeah, it's like, man. I mean, but when I was younger, there was, you know, you could listen to one radio station and hear everything.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you didn't really weren't doing a whole lot of that.
So you probably have the same thing when people ask me, okay, what's your favorite kind of music?
Yeah,
Usually I say,
I can't.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and not the group. Yes, just yes. I love it all.
If it's played with passion, and it's played with skill, and if it's got a little risk to it.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Gotta have a little. Should I do that? I'm going for it.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't, Okay, so I always get to talk with my kids about music, and one of the things they say is that that's a nice band, but they're not playing with the same risk that so-and-so did, who actually started this music. These people were doing something that nobody else had ever done, and they had the guts to say, I'm doing it. Yeah, and these people said, oh, that worked.
Yeah.
And yeah, they might have done a little bit better, but these are the people who did it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100.
Well, man, you know, we've been chatting. I never had a chance to get to my 5 little quick questions because I've been so, no, we're actually out of time. But I've been so interested in what you've been saying. This has been awesome.
Oh, thank you.
No,
man.
John, this is fantastic, man.
Next time I'll shut up.
No, this is what I want. You're great,
Oh,
man.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. And let me say to you,
Yeah.
you're a product, and man, thank you for what you do.
I got a lot of really good people.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, you do.
Yep.
And I'm loving it. I love it. Every year just gets better and better, man. And I love you guys for that. Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, man. Thanks for tuning in.